Just wanted to Sputnik bring you guys another gameplay commentary. This is Black Desert Online, and I have a complaint. I'm not one to complain about pretty much anything when it comes to gaming, man. Uh, yeah, I just don't. I don't. Even though I play this game every single day, I invest a lot of time into this game. I don't have any emotional connection to this game, right? I see this game for what it is, right? And that's the way I am with pretty much every game, right? I'm that way in real life as well, right? That does not mean I'm naive or I'm a pushover. It's just I'm indifferent when it comes to particular things, and you have to do something to the extreme for me to make us think about it or make a fuss about it, right? And this is something I've noticed for a while. Um, in Black Desert Online. And most players might not necessarily think of this as an issue, but I personally think, and again, I personally think that it's somewhat of an issue, right? And what am I talking about? I'm talking about cups, right? So I pretty much have all of the cups. Um, I've grinded like twice to change these, right? Then they made an update where you can remove them and keep them. However, that update to me is punitive, right? In order to remove these, you have to spend around $2 billion to remove these. And now some players might say, well, you can get your money back if you decide to sell them, right? If you decide to sell them. Now, we all know the central market has a tax, right? I don't have the merchant ring. And even if I did, I would not get back the 2 bill if I were to sell them, right? So I don't know why they would attach a um, a 2 billion removal cost. Now you can remove them with zero cost, but you lose the cup, right? And I don't know if any of you guys know the saying, time is money. And I think if you've invested time into a particular thing, right, you shouldn't be penalized for that, especially when it comes to the game, right? The game incentivizes players, right, to grind, right? Do something to make funds, right? You can life skill or you can have an immediate, uh, you know, result in grinding. But that immediate result is your time, right? Like what's the opportunity cost that you have to incur because you're using your time to do X, Y, Z, right? So I've invested my time to, get these cups, which I have zero issues with. And look, the drop rate chance, they're not high, right? They're not. I don't know the specific percentage. I didn't take a look at them, but they're not as low as the compass, right? They're not as low as the potion pieces, right? I've went through all of that. I've gotten all of that stuff. So I'm not opposed to grinding, right? Pretty much that's all I do, right? Right now I'm attempting to grind. Well, attempting. I already have like 100 bill towards my last pen, which is Pendisto, right? And I don't have any issues with grinding. What I do have an issue with is the fact, or maybe this is a challenge, the fact that, right, in order for you to change your cups, right, you have to spend, um, you have to spend 2 bill to change it, right? So, and that 2 bill comes out of nowhere, right? So if I want to keep the cups, I have to spend 2 bill. So then I don't want to spend the 2 bill. Then I went ahead and I pretty much grinded for the new two cups that I'm going for, right? Um, and I don't think I should have to do that. Um, I honestly don't think I should have to, I've already invested time into getting these cups. Why should I have to go back in and then grind to get the same cups that I have because the game is penalizing me for attempting to change it? Now, some people might say, well, that's part of the game, but you have you have tagging, you have all of these things that allow you to skip that process, right? You have these exchange coupons. Right? These don't necessarily cost too much, right? They give it to us for free, as a matter of fact, right? Um, Now, some players might say, you know, uh, you have to get these seals, but these seals are free, even though there's a time associated with it. The same time I would have to spend, well, not the same, but in terms of time, I would have to spend to get the cups that I already have, right? So if I want to change my build, which I'm attempting to do, let me add a bit more context here, right? So this is my current build, right? And like I said, I just went all damage. Um, and I did some calculations and I realized that, you know, I would still be at 323, uh, that sheet AP, right? That next bracket, uh, even if I lose a few AP, right? So right here, this is all damage. And what I want to do now is get much more of a all around build, right? So this build went fully damage. And so now what I want to do is go, damage, HP, accuracy, and the DR is pretty much there. So this is what my end game like build will be, right? You gain, this is for me at least, right? This is what I think. You gain, if you take a look at my health, right? You gain a tremendous amount of health, right? This is the same health as if you were to do the HP journal, around 600 additional health. And that goes a long way, right? That makes you a bit more tankier because you have more hit points, right? It increases your frontal, right? I'm a strong opponent of frontal guard. I would go so far as to say that I use frontal more than I use any other thing, right? It allows me to play neutral well. It allows me to look for uh, punishes. It allows me to do a lot of things, right? And that really helps towards keeping a robust frontal guard. And I don't know if people know this, but frontal has a lot of things that go into it to make it stronger, right? Your health, your DR, um, you know, uh, what your DP is, like all of those things go into making a strong frontal. So you might be a glass cannon class, but you have high AP, high HP, uh, a decent amount of DR, you have a decent amount of DP, and then you should be fine, right? A Sork is a bit different because it's similar to, well, it's the flip side. It's the flip side of the gauntlet classes where they can have high DP, hybrid evasion, and not so much high AP. I'm saying not so much, but at end game, 280 something to 290 plus, that's pretty much solid, right? The cap would probably be 301, and then they 301 AP, and then they can, sky's the limit for evasion and DR and DP setup, that the hybrid that they go with. With a Sork, it's the flip side, right? We can have a minimal amount of, to me at least, a minimal amount of DP because we have so many ways to mitigate damage, right? On awakened stance, you have Crow, which is it's on a 1 second cooldown, and then you can go right directly into frontal. You have so many ways to kind of mitigate damage that this DP is deceptive, for me at least, right? So what I want to do is stack health, right? Also put a bit into accuracy. So I'm getting what, an additional 52 accuracy here, and I don't lose the bracket, right? I'm still within the 220, the 323, 320. What is it? 329 bracket, right? I don't lose anything, to me at least, right? I still have the high damage. I have a decent amount of HP. I'm saying decent, but that's a lot. 5,800 uh uh you know health points, and I have my Crocodile set, right? So I get an additional, right? And this has no cooldown. Once you die, you can immediately just charge it again, right? Gives you 100 stam and 100 HP, right? So if you use, if you use roar, you automatically get that, right? So I'm not, uh, I'm not at a, like, that's something I'm stacking, and when I do get a chance to, whenever they decide to sell the Garmoth pet, right? When they get a chance to sell that pet, then it's an additional 100 HP, right? So, but back to my original point. My original point is, in order for me to do that, I now had to go and grind for something that I already had, right? And I think that, you know, like, that's punitive, right? That shouldn't be something that I should have to do, especially if it's the same class, right? Uh, and I'm changing a cup. So I guess that's my little uh, complaint. Yeah, that I honestly don't think that should be a thing. And even if they do, right? Maybe a few updates, you say, hey, you guys get a free, uh, say free, but during this update or this period, the same way they do with Kafirs, because we all know, when a new update comes out, and especially when Nebraska comes out, and you go, let's say you're C15, uh, and you want to, remove those Kafirs, those things cost money. But they do an event where it's free, or you spend 1 silver. Do that for the cups, right? That's like a compromise. But here's the thing, no one else has an issue with it. I'm the only one, probably guessing, that has an issue with this. Uh, but I just think it's punitive, and I don't think, in the spirit of how this game functions, in terms of, like, you like, there's they it's an incentive, right, to grind, right? They say, hey, grind, you make enough, and then you can buy whatever it is that you want to buy. And I think that they shouldn't penalize you for that. So now I have to go in and uh grind, right? It took me about a week to get both of these. Luckily, we had a uh, drop event, and I was able to do that. Um, but I don't think, like, that should be the standard. But anyway, man, this is my little I guess my complaint or rant or whatever it is that you want to call it. But yeah, that's the bill I want to go with. But in order to do that, I have to devote an additional week to do it. Anyway, I don't know.